Well, good morning, Montrose. I am Tonya Maddox. I am the publisher of the Montrose Daily Press, and this is Montrose Matters. I want to do a shout out to the fabulous folks at Elevate Fiber. Elevate Fiber, thank you so much for allowing us to bring Montrose Matters to you each and every week. So, before further ado, I'm sure you all are looking around and wondering, well, who is Tonya's special guest in the MDP studios this week? Let me tell you, our special guest this week is you. It's Montrose. It's the history of Montrose. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to explain all of this and talk about a special old lady who grew up right here in Montrose.
Here in the heart of beautiful western Colorado, known for its unrivaled outdoor recreation, bountiful harvests, and unparalleled quality of life, changes are being made. Elevate Fiber is transforming the way we work, live, and play by creating exciting new opportunities for local families and businesses. Are you ready?
Hello, everybody. I'm Tonya Maddox, publisher of the Montrose Daily Press, and you are watching Montrose Matters. And yes, my special guest is actually several special guests, several thousand special guests. It's you. It's all the people who are part of Montrose history. And I thought that we would do an episode that's a little new and unique this year for a couple of reasons. One, Independence Day is coming up this week, and celebrating our country and the history of our country is important. And two, there was something just extremely devastating that happened to journalists in this country just last week, and I wanted to make sure that we understood the history of journalism and how it tied back to Montrose. So we have one of our books that's open to 2008, and that doesn't seem like that far in history, right? Well, the reason why that book is open is because I remember walking through Baltimore, Maryland in 2008. I worked for a previous publishing company that published the Daily Record in Baltimore. So what happened in Baltimore is extremely important to me, and it hit home personally. But what it made me think of is all of the people, the coworkers and colleagues that I had worked with during that time, and especially my boss at that point who helped mold me. And so when I got a call from a dear little 94-year-old lady by the name of Sybil Baker, I started thinking about how important it is for us to tell the story of how newspapers have played a part in your history, in my history, for hundreds of years. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you about this young lady by the name of Sybil Baker, who grew up right here in Montrose. And guess what? She was born December 31st, 1922. So this young lady and her story ties together and humanizes newspapers and what they have done for this country. Sybil was getting ready to go off to college in 1940, and she needed a typewriter. So her mom went down to the local newspaper, which is the Daily Press, and she asked about purchasing one of our old typewriters so that Sybil could go off to college. Now I have to pull up some notes here because Sybil, who said she was a 94-year-old lady who did not want to be on cameras, so she trusts me to tell her story, so I want to tell it the correct way. But Sybil said that her mom purchased this typewriter in 1940 for her to go to Colorado's Women's College. That was 78 years ago. This lovely Sybil ended up being able to take this typewriter. Look how big these are these days, or was back then. This typewriter off to college with her. What's even more interesting about this story, more so than her mom being able to purchase this typewriter, this 94-year-old lady kept it. it's a part of who she is and who she was. And when she donated it back to the Daily Press, she wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this typewriter was purchased by Mildred McClanahan in the summer of 1940 at the Montrose Daily Press for her first year of college at Colorado Women's College in Denver. If you look at the back of this note, she also made a point of saying that her brother, Bruce, at the age of 14, had a paper route with the Montrose Daily Press. And he used the income he made from that paper route to help pay off this typewriter. So Sybil and I had a great conversation. I can tell you that I teared up more than once because it took me from 1980 walking the streets of Baltimore and being sad that there are people in my industry who lost their lives to reminding me the importance of journalism and that we're more than just a newspaper. We change lives, we affect lives, we tell stories that would otherwise not be told, and we make an impact for generations to come. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Sybil, but I want to take a quick break. Hi there, I'm Tonya Maddox, publisher of the Montrose Daily Press, and welcome back to Montrose Matters in a special history episode. So, because I'm talking about history, I'm getting all of my dates wrong, and I said 1980 right before we went to commercial, but I did not mean 1980. I meant, what year did I mean? 2008. See, Sydney is looking at me, and she's getting all of the dates mixed up herself. But so anyway, the point is that when you look at 2008 and me walking through the streets of Baltimore, visiting my boss and working out of the newspaper there for a couple of days, and then you fast forward to 2018 and I hear this amazing story of Sybil Baker and this typewriter that she received for her first year of college that her mom and her younger brother worked hard to pay for and provide her with. The other cool thing is that she decided to just her mom decided to walk down the main street and head to the local newspaper. That's how we're a part of lives. So then when I went back in time with Sybil, it made me think about just the history of the Montrose Daily Press in itself. And as I was doing some research, what many of you may or may not know is that other than the city of Montrose, the Montrose Daily Press is the oldest business in Montrose. Yes, in April of 1882, that was 136 years ago, the Montrose Daily Press was founded. We were weekly at that time, and on Main Street. Since then, we moved to another location on Main Street, and now we are off of Townsend in a beautiful building. Although the owners have changed names throughout history, this has been a family-owned business, and there are not many 136-year-old family-owned businesses still here, and just providing news and information in Montrose. So, why does all of this matter? Well, it matters as your publisher. Yes, I am your publisher of your local newspaper. It's important for me to know that you all are aware that every single thing that we do here is to provide you news and information. There's not a lot of wealth in journalism. These students don't go to J school to become wealthy. There is not a lot of time to yourself. If there was a 40-hour work week in any newspaper in America, I would tell you that that newspaper is probably not putting out, relevant, important news and information. My staff, and again, I want you to know that it's your staff, they work tirelessly, countless hours, trying to tell the stories that are important to this community. And they've been doing that for 136 years. It's also important for me to let you know that as a community newspaper, we are open to you. Come in, sit down, talk to us. Call us. Be a part of what we're doing to help Montrose and to bring news, relevant news and information, and news and information that's been vetted by sources to you all. The other reason that I wanted to have this conversation with Montrose is to let you know that although we only talked about Sybil Baker and her story is amazing, there are so many Sybil Bakers. There are so many John Dillons. There's so many Sydney Warners. Our stories have been told for generations in our newspapers. I can go back and see the birth of the parents of people who now work for me and old copies of the newspaper. There is history here. Let's be a part of changing history. Let's be a part of making sure history remembers this generation, this community, and this newspaper as trailblazers. So I'm going to take another quick break, but when we come back, I want to tell you about something fun that I found in one of the 1941 papers. Oh, okay. You guys caught me reading. I'm sorry. I can't get enough of these old articles. You know, I'm sitting here reading this week in July in 1941, and there's a story here that says Montrosians plan to attend Salida wrestling match to see Jack Dempsey referee. Why is that important? It's not about Jack Dempsey. And it's not even about the Montrosians going to see a wrestling match in Salida. It's because your local newspaper wanted to write about Jack Dempsey. Your local newspaper wanted people to know that there was a wrestling match in Salida. And your local newspaper wanted to be a reflection of the community that they serve. That's why it's important. Pick up an old copy. Pick up a new copy, but pick up a copy of any newspaper in America. Read it online, read it on your phone, but read it and know that community journalists put a lot of time, energy, and effort to tell your story. So let's make sure the next story they tell about Montrose is a great one. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Montrose Matters. I'm Tonya Maddox, publisher of the Montrose Daily Press.